Ángela, an important businesswoman from the city of Medellín, passed away alone at the age of 60 in a mental institution on February 2, 2024, after paperwork with the morgue. The institution cleaned their room and made it suitable for the next patient to enter 20 years ago. When Ángela was 40, she had to start her own business because her husband had died and left her with a young daughter at just 6 years old. She had never worked before, as her husband covered the household expenses, but she always had a great sense of fashion. Ángela saw creating a clothing company that offered services to small brands as her only way out. 10 years later, Ángela's small startup became a successful company with 100 employees. She was a hardworking and responsible woman. She woke up at 6 in the morning to be at her office by 7. Her official schedule as a manager ended at 5. But she usually stayed in her office until 9 in the evening, delayed by unexpected tasks that arose during the day. For Ángela, falling asleep was hard because she thought too much about her to-dos and knew I had to get up very early the next day again. In the end, he actually slept less than 5 hours a day. One day he got home, grabbed a glass of wine as usual, and without realizing it, burst into tears. I cried and had no clue why. Nothing strange had happened. Her daughter was fine. The business had never been better. But the tears just kept running down her cheeks. Her free hand rested on the old gun that her husband used to take his own life 10 years ago. Soon I will finish telling Ángela's story. But I want to talk to you first about depression and anxiety. Over the past few weeks, have you felt a lack of interest in daily life activities? Activities that once filled you with enthusiasm, like working. Reading a book or going for a walk doesn't really excite you anymore. Maybe you can't wait for the weekend to come, to really start enjoying your week. Is it hard for you to sleep before 10 at night? And often you find yourself awake at 1 in the morning, doing doom scrolling on your phone. Have you made unplanned visits to the fridge at 11 at night for a chocolate bar or some food seeking to give you a bit of pleasure? Why are there more and more cases of people with these behaviors reported? If it's assumed that every year we have more ways to entertain ourselves, there are more conveniences. Job fields are expanding. And technology makes our life easier, the symptoms I just mentioned. They are described in the official psychiatry guidelines for the diagnosis of major depressive syndrome and generalized anxiety disorder. According to reports from the National Health Society of the United Kingdom, until the beginning of 2024, 1 in 5 people under 25 suffer from some type of mental illness. And according to surveys from the European Union, 46% of its citizens have had psychosocial or emotional issues, such as feeling depressed or anxious. In the last 12 months, and if 1 out of 2 people has symptoms of anxiety and depression, why do we find it so hard to accept this condition and seek help? For most, it's no problem to visit the endocrinologist if they show diabetes symptoms when diagnosed. They responsibly use their insulin and stop eating sugary foods. The same goes for people with heart issues. They see a cardiologist, start exercising daily, cut down on their carb intake, and take their blood pressure control pills appropriately every day. If so, why is it so hard for us to visit the psychiatrist or psychologist when we have a brain disease? Our brain is the most important organ in our body, and probably the only one that cannot be replaced by technology in the short term. Nowadays, there are artificial hearts, artificial lungs, artificial kidneys, and even artificial pancreases may not be comfortable and involve the use of large machines to fulfill their functions, but technology can at least mimic them. There is still no machine that can replace the functions of our brain. Our essence is there. Our personality is there. Without our brain, we are not us. So why do we care for it so little? In this short documentary, you will learn about the 13 most significant symptoms of depression and anxiety. You will understand how to differentiate when you can treat your symptoms with natural methods, like good nutrition and meditation. And when necessary, definitely consult a psychiatrist. My intention with this documentary is that you don't make the same mistakes that Ángela made. During my years as a medical student, I visited multiple mental health institutions, and the story of Angela, one of my patients when I did my psychiatry rotations, is one that I haven't been able to get out of my head, even after finishing my studies over 6 years ago. That last night when Angela came home, she took the gun, and during her tears, she decided to aim at her right chest and shoot. Her injury wasn't fatal during her hospital stay, and after questioning Angela and her daughter, a diagnosis of major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder was determined. Angela continued with her life. She was recommended psychiatric treatment, but he didn't listen. His symptoms worsened over the years. Instead of seeing a psychiatrist, he began quarterly rituals with his best friend, during which they consumed magic mushrooms, and they took ayahuasca. In one of the sessions, she had her first psychotic episode. She attacked one of the people present, severely injuring them. Angela's condition worsened. She developed schizophrenia, and the last time I saw her was in a mental institution in downtown Medellín. I knew her as Angela, but she called me Jesus. She spoke as if I were the Messiah, coming from heaven to save her from the other patients in the institution, who, according to her, conspired every night to murder her. The previous is a true story. The patient is not named Angela. I changed her name to respect her privacy. The date of her death is also not real. Well, it can be used to find out who the patient is. But Angela's story happened in Medellín, Colombia, not too long ago. Depression must be managed promptly, and without any exception, it should be evaluated by a psychiatrist. At Tuvi Digital, we have nothing against alternative treatments and ancestral medicine. However, there's a time, place, and situation for everything. And Angela was a woman. She could have lived happily with her daughter, had she consulted a mental health professional when your symptoms started. Therefore, the importance of recognizing them on time. Next, 13 silent symptoms of depression and anxiety that require quick assessment by a mental health specialist, or in other words, a psychiatrist. First, feeling depressed most of the day, nearly every day that is. Feeling sad, empty, irritable, hopeless, or the same observations made by those close to you. Second, markedly diminished interest or pleasure in all or almost all activities. The activities you do for most of the day, this happens almost every day. Third, significant weight loss or gain when you're not dieting. Fourth, almost daily recurring insomnia. Fifth, restlessness nearly every day of the week. Sixth, fatigue or feeling of energy loss almost every day. Seventh, feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt. Eighth, reduced ability to think or concentrate. Ninth, recurrent thoughts of death, not just fear of dying. If you have experienced at least 5 of these 9 symptoms, during the last 2 weeks you should consult with a psychiatrist to assess a diagnosis of major depressive disorder. Symptoms of anxiety may be present or isolated from those of depression. These are, first, almost always feeling excessive worry about events that are about to happen, whether they are good or bad. Second, if you find it difficult to control that worry, even when you know well there's nothing you can do about it, but wait. Third, the anxiety you feel is linked with quick movements of parts of your body, with irritability, difficulty sleeping, or muscle tension. Fourth, your anxiety significantly affects other areas of your life, such as your work or socializing with friends and family. If you have experienced some of these in the last 2 weeks, it is important that you visit a psychiatrist to rule out a possible generalized anxiety disorder. There are many ways to help you feel better. Among them, do 40 minutes of daily exercise, follow a diet high in white proteins and low in carbohydrates, drink plenty of water, go to bed early, and not work until late. Turn off your phone screen an hour before bed. Meditate for 30 minutes every day. Give thanks by journaling in the mornings. Go to yoga, among other things. Talk directly to a psychiatrist. Remove the fear. If you need medication, he himself, along with a psychologist, will help you build solid behavioral patterns that will lead you to no longer need medication in the future. This short documentary was intended to raise awareness and normalize the presence of mental illnesses in society, and to give you tools to recognize their symptoms and eliminate their risks. I'll do what I can to help. If you want content about a mental illness and its treatment, just let me know in the comments section. If you want content on psychedelic therapy for depression treatment, and let me know about the scientific evidence behind the topic too. If you want to learn how to create content like what you just saw in this video and make a living from YouTube, here's a free class in the description section and the first comment of this video. Remember, we also have a channel for kids, Tuvi Kids. There we seek to raise our youth with transformative messages that lead them to be better people and healthier children. We also have Tuvi in various languages, including English, Portuguese, Swedish, German, and more. Find these channels in the recommended section on my main channel. Next, you'll see 2 videos that are of interest to you. Sending you a hug. See you in the next one.